Hello, I'm Kris Sheehan, the District 19 Club Growth Director for the 2020-2021 Toastmasters year. I'm really excited to get to talk a little bit about club growth today. Not just because club growth makes up 2/3 of my title, but because I find a passion in talking about how do we navigate club growth in today's world. You have to think about it. The world has changed so much. I mean, just think back to 2018. In 2018, Toastmasters International ran a campaign called #MyWhy. And in that campaign, they asked Toastmasters from around the world to share their why. Why are they in Toastmasters? And the campaign was hugely successful. They heard everything from, I joined because I wanted to become a more confident speaker, to I joined because I want to be a more capable leader, to I just needed a place to socialize. And Toastmasters just happens to be a place that allows me to do that. Well, bonus, I get to grow. We all have a why, and not just a why that relates to why do you do Toastmasters, but you have a why for everything. The interesting thing about it is, over time, our why can shift. And for a lot of people, our why has shifted so greatly in the last couple of years because, well, the world is bringing us new challenges. I mean, think about it. We spend a lot of our time now thinking about these core things. How do I stay healthy? What happens if I get sick? What's going on with the economy? Am I still going to have a job? And oh, what happens if I lose my job? There are so many influencers now that our why has shifted. And the things that we cared about 2 years ago during the #MyWhy campaign may not be what our why is anymore. As a matter of fact, it's what leads me to the next statement. Now, bear with me here, because when I heard it for the first time, I said, that is crazy talk. And then they said it again, and I said, maybe I could buy into it. And then they said it a third time and really explained it, and it makes sense. People don't care about Toastmasters. At the end of the day, people don't care about Toastmasters, specifically the people who don't know about Toastmasters. And more specific than that, because of the shifting why, the people who don't know about Toastmasters are growing further and further and further away from caring about it because of that list of concerns that we all have in this changing world. The funny thing is that even with the change of the world, the answer to a lot of it still lies here in Toastmasters. At the end of the day, this organization still is the place that offers a safe environment to obtain the skills needed for a changing world. And it's proven in this second statement. We are an organization that can help increase your confidence in a virtual presentation. Just think about it. In early 2020, we were an organization that quickly adopted going from presenting in front of an audience to presenting to a lens. We can offer the skills needed to grow our confidence in presenting virtually. We're a self-paced program, which I think is more important now than it has ever been in the past. We need a place where people can work at their own speed. The world is moving too rapidly for us to say otherwise. If you don't want to complete a project within the next month, it's okay. You can do it 2 months, 6 months, a year from now. That's the great thing about this organization, is we're self-paced. We prepare individuals for impromptu speaking. Think about that list of concerns. What happens if I lose my job? Or I did lose my job, what do I do? Through table topics, Toastmasters is able to prepare you for answering those job questions in a job interview. And the last, I think, is one of the most important. It is where we are an organization where leaders are made. It's our tagline, and it's the truth. It doesn't matter how much the world changes in front of us. At the end of the day, the world is still going to need leaders. We need leaders in our homes, we need leaders in our jobs, and we need leaders in our communities. And this organization teaches the skills to create those next level leaders. We are an organization where leaders are made. There's one thing that we don't talk about enough. There's one thing that this organization offers in a changing world that we don't talk about enough, and it is that Toastmasters can be a solution to our touch starvation. I don't have to give you the number of studies or all the polls and the research done, but in this year, in right now, in our current situation, the thing people miss the most is interaction with other people. The interesting thing about that is that in 2014, Carnegie Mellon University did a study. And in that study, that they found that when you attend meetings or do virtual calls, whether that be on Zoom or Skype or WebEx, or you're just FaceTiming a friend or family member, it can actually be nearly 80% as effective as meeting with somebody face to face. We meet virtually on an ongoing basis, whether that's weekly or bi-weekly or once a month, whatever it is. We can fill 80% of that need for human interaction. So we know that we're the organization ready to take on those new world challenges and ready to provide the skills needed to handle those new world challenges. Now we need to share our story. I imagine that everybody watching this knows what that picture is. It's called the Tear Off Flyer. And I'll share a story about it, or about one in particular. When I first joined Toastmasters in 2016, I knew it was a global organization, but I didn't truly grasp what that meant. And one day, I took a lunch break from work, and I went down to the Panera a few blocks away. On that particular day, while I was waiting on my order, I, for some reason, chose not to reach into my pocket and get my phone out and just scroll through aimlessly while I waited. Instead, I saw a bulletin board off to the side. I walked over to that bulletin board and I started looking through it and moving papers to see what all the different layers of it were. And at the bottom of it, I saw a page with a Toastmasters logo, and I went, oh, it truly is a global organization, and it isn't just global, it's actually just a couple blocks away from my club. I had no idea. It was a Tear Off Flyer. It was at the back of the bulletin board. Not a single one of them were torn off. That's why I'm here today to tell you that we have a Toastmasters story that we need to tell to help grow our clubs. But the era of the Tear Off Flyer is over. We need to move past it. We need to change our ways that we tell our story. Because telling a story is ultimately marketing. And one of the number one rules, if not the number one rule of marketing, is that we need to meet people where they're at. I think the picture on this slide speaks volumes to where people are at. They're on their phone. Think about my story at Panera. I said, for some reason that day I didn't reach into my pocket and scroll through my phone, which means every other time I'm standing at that Panera waiting on my lunch, I'm on my phone. And you don't just have to take my word for it. I mean, the facts back it up. 32% of people check a brand social media page before they ever even check their website, let alone a poster board or a bulletin board at a Panera. People have twice as many interactions with brands on their mobile devices. Adults spend an average of 3 hours and 10 minutes on their smartphones each and every day. I would stand there for 10 minutes waiting on my order at the Panera. I'm sure that I had 3 more hours to add to that any given day. So we need to meet the consumer, the people who we want to become our next members, where they're at. And they're on their mobile devices. So how do we do that? Well, we have to start with a plan. We need a plan. We need to put it down and we need to follow the blueprint. So there are a few things that you can do to get started today that will put you on the path to success. The first is make sure that your Find a Club is up to date. You can go to Toastmasters.org in Club Central and you can update that. Most people who are out looking for a Toastmasters club are using that Find a Club piece. So you want the most up-to-date information out there so that they know that when they come looking for your club, if it meets their needs of day and time, your information is up to date. And if you're meeting online and you haven't indicated that in Find a Club, you need to go out there and do that. And you need to put in who do they contact so that they can get into those virtual meetings. The next thing is that you need to update your club website and you need to do it on a regular basis. I'd add to this that if you don't have a club website, you need to get one. Whether you use FreeToast Host or Speakeasy or you go out to Wix or Squarespace or any of those website making platforms, you need to have a website. A website is like having a club meeting space, but it's your virtual meeting space. It's your virtual home. And you need to update it on a regular basis. Maybe that's just as simple as on your main page saying we meet Wednesdays at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., whatever it is. Our next meeting is Wednesday, this date. And on Wednesday of that date, you go on and you update it to the following Wednesday. But you need to be updating your website on a regular basis. The third piece to it, and the facts back it up, the studies back it up, you need to get your club onto social media. Facebook and LinkedIn are the two big ones to join right now. Facebook for the reason that, well, the old saying is everyone and their grandmother is on Facebook. Well, okay, my grandma's not, but my parents are grandparents, so I guess it still kind of works. And it's true. Facebook is the most used social media platform. It is where we need to be, our clubs need to be. LinkedIn is for those career professionals. People who are in their careers and they are professionals, they're on LinkedIn because they're looking for growth opportunities, whether that's a new career or that's something that can develop themselves to better themselves. And we need to use it. You can't just make a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page and then never do anything with it. You actually have to be posting on it and posting on it on a pretty regular basis. So figuring out what that rhythm is will really help in this plan. And at the end of the day, no plan has ever been successful if it isn't written down. You have to put it on paper. It's easy to say this is where we are today and this is where we want to be tomorrow. But in order to get there, we need to have steps along the way, and you need to document it. If you do these things, it's simple, right? You'll be successful. But I can already hear you saying, well, you can't just change a couple of things and write it down and be successful. There needs to be more to that, and I would say you're absolutely correct. There is more to it. So to ensure success, you need to follow some of these steps. First and foremost, the most important is to be specific in your plan. You are here today and you want to be here tomorrow. Now, what are you going to do in between there? Maybe as an example, it's that one of the things we're going to post on social media is a Monday motivational quote. A lot of companies do it, a lot of clubs do it. They just put a quote up, hey, this is what's going to get us through the week this week, and it's a quote by a famous person. So in our plan, we're specific about it. Every Monday, we're going to have a post. Our club meets on Wednesdays, which means on Tuesdays, we're going to have a post teasing the meeting coming up on Wednesday. Hey, we're meeting tomorrow. We have this speaker and this speaker. It's going to be great. On Wednesday, we have our meeting. Maybe it's a follow-up post that says, we just ended our meeting. We had this speaker and this speaker. They were phenomenal. We are leaving inspired. But you have to be able to be specific in that plan to say on Monday it's the quote, on Tuesday it's the tease, on Wednesday it's the hey, you missed it. Be specific. You can't just say we are here today and we want to be here tomorrow. You have to tell us what's happening in the middle to get you there. It sounds like a lot of work, I know, which is why automate as much as you can. There are lots of social media automation platforms out there. The one that I will mention today is called Hootsuite. Hootsuite offers a free side of their platform that allows you to automate a certain amount of content. So an example being, let's say you're going to try that Monday motivational quote. Well, you know that there are 52 Mondays in a year. So what do? I say on a rainy Saturday, you go find 52 quotes that you think really fit the bill from Monday Motivation. Schedule all 52 of them. And now every single Monday for the next 52 weeks, that automation is going to post those quotes for you. And just like that, you're still executing your plan, but you didn't have to put in much work beyond the initial setup. Automate as much as you can to take that burden off of knowing that you continually have to monitor things. Third, and this is really important, you need to have a call to action. You need to drive the people viewing your content to take the next step. You see, if you just say, we have a great meeting coming up, it doesn't tell anybody to do anything. But if you say, we have a great meeting coming up, you should join us, well, now we've put it in the consumer of the content's hands and said, this is on you now, you take the next step. On Wednesdays after the meeting, if you're going to summarize what happened in the meeting, to say, John gave this inspirational speech and Susie gave this speech that really empowered us and we all left feeling good and wanting to do more, your call to action should be, do you want to do more? Join us next week and feel what we felt. Don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money. That's the next thing. And this one can get a little touchy at times, but something I'm going to talk about in a little bit may help ease that. You know, it's one thing to just write a post on social media and put it out there, but the only way that anyone is ever going to find that post is if they seek it out, if they like your page, if they are just searching around and stumble on your page and see your post. By putting a little bit of money behind your post and boosting it, it spreads it out. It now forces it to show up for people who might be interested in finding your club. I know that a lot of clubs in the past have wanted to do this, where they go to a newspaper and they say, we want to take out a little Sunday ad in the newspaper. You know, nothing that big, and the newspaper says, yes, we can absolutely do that for you. Here's what we need. And then you take it and you look at it and go, oh, yeah, we can't afford that. Well, I have good news. Advertising on social media is pennies on the dollar compared to what an ad in print or even an ad in broadcast is. So don't be afraid to go and seek out putting a little money behind some of your posts and seeing what type of engagement you can get with your money. On the flip side of that, I would encourage you to find the free advertisement spaces. You know, the bulletin board at the Panera is great, but bulletin boards have moved online now. Does your newspaper have an events board? Does your library have a digital events board? Are there forums that you can be posting in? You need to be seeking out those opportunities where you can tell that Toastmasters story. And the last piece to being successful is to measure. And I can't say it enough. Measure, measure, measure. You have to measure what was successful. You have to measure what wasn't successful. And you have to measure what actually kind of worked. And maybe if we put a little extra effort into it, it would have been really successful. Because a plan only goes so long. Eventually, you're either going to need to extend it or you're going to need to start again. You want to know what worked, what didn't work, what could have worked if we would have done more before you go and you do that next plan or extend a plan. I've thrown a lot at you in this. I really have. But if you follow these steps, you're going to have that moment. Yes! The moment of success. Now, I'm not going to pretend that we just covered it all. Because finding a prospective member, turning them into a guest, and getting them to be a member is really only 50% of it. Now, it is the hardest 50%. It really is, because you're going to have to put a lot of effort in. I mean, we just went through it. But there is the other side, the next 50%. You've converted them, now you have to keep them. And we can talk about retention, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of ideas of how do we retain our members, how do we keep our members. But it really boils down to one thing, and one thing only. if you have quality meetings that live up to the Toastmasters mission, retention works for itself. It really does. That mission is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. If your meetings meet that mission, retention works for itself. I've thrown a lot at you in this video. I really have. And I want you to know that you're not alone. There are a lot of resources out there available to you to help you be successful in growing your clubs. Some of them that are available are the Toastmasters Resource Library. There is a lot of really great already created content that you can use when sharing the Toastmasters story. There's the Toastmasters Brand Portal and Brand Manual. If you want to go and create your own content, they give you the resources that you need, the logos, the imagery, and then the how to use those guidelines to help. And if you ever have questions, there are two teams at World Headquarters, the brand team and the trademark team, who are always willing to answer your questions and make sure that you're staying within the guidance of Toastmasters. Finally, there's HubSpot. HubSpot is an automation marketing platform that big corporations use. Now, I don't expect a club to go out and contact a salesperson and try to negotiate a HubSpot deal, but their resources are really powerful. They have a whole resource area dedicated to reports and analysis on what people are engaging with, how they're engaging with it, some ideas that you can use when you are marketing and sharing the story of Toastmasters. I would encourage you to go out and check it out. On the district side, we have the Club Growth Resource website. It's a newer page on the district19.me webpage that offers a lot of great resources that you can use, including virtual guest packets, some marketing materials, and some help and guidance in starting to put that plan on paper. When you really start to define, we're here today, we want to be here tomorrow, and we're going to define those steps in between. Additionally, I said that money can always be a little bit of a sticking point. For the 2020-2021 Toastmasters year, we're offering an incentive where if a club submits their marketing plan, the plan that says this is what we're going to do, this is what we want to accomplish, and you send it to the Club Growth Director, we're going to give you $50 to go and implement that plan. So right there, it's free money to put a little money behind your posts. Additionally, if you spend $25, not out of that $50, but an additional $25, even if you don't put it on paper and you tell us that you spent this money and you show us how you spent it, we'll match that money. We'll give you an additional $25. All in all, there's $100 on the table for marketing this year, which in the digital space is quite a bit of money. And out of that 100, 75 of it is free money for your club to use. The other thing that I will say is you're not alone. The club is not alone when it comes to club growth. There is a district, there is a region, and there is an international organization that wants to help you grow, which is why my contact information is on the screen. I'm always willing to take some time and talk to you about this. If you ever have questions or you want to bounce ideas off of me, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are all in this together, and together we can be successful, and when we're successful, our clubs grow.